Hi guys and welcome. Today's message is about the transcendental self and the fact that you are more than you think you are. And I've realized this truth back in my spiritual journey when I had my awakening. Okay, so I realized that yes, there are levels to reality. There are levels of higher consciousness. There are different dimensions to reality. And really, the transcendental self is your higher self. The transcendental self is your pure nature. It is the consciousness that is happening at a quantum level, the consciousness that is happening at an energy level. And the more that you go as deep as possible within yourself, the more that you realize truths about yourself, the more that you rediscover yourself, is the more that you have the power to connect to this transcendental self, okay? So the transcendental self is your higher self, and really your higher self is connected to your spiritual nature, okay? It is connected to harmony, it is connected to peace, it is connected to abundance. And the transcendental self, the higher self, is your true nature. It is your true spiritual nature. And the more that you are rediscovering yourself, the more that you are being curious about spiritual things, the more that you are going as deep as possible within your soul, the more that you evolve yourself, is the more that you have the power to accept the invitation from the quantum self, from the higher self, from the transcendental self, okay? So realize that there are levels to your own consciousness, and in a way your consciousness is connected to everything in the universe, okay? And the more that you operate as oneness, the more that you operate as truth, the more that you operate as love, is the more that you have the power to connect to a deeper part of your own self, okay? So realize that your transcendental self, your higher self, speaks to you based on the feelings that you are having. And the more that you move from the head into the heart, is the more that you actually make the connection, okay? So I believe that the feeling, the emotional body is super important being mastered, okay? It is super important being mastered. And it's all about learning to make peace with your own inner world, to evolve your consciousness from within, okay? So realize that inside of yourself, you have every single tool that you need. You have everything that you need within yourself, okay? The secret is within yourself. And the more that you evolve from within, is the more that you also evolve your outer world as well, okay? So in the Hermetic principles, we understand that what is happening within ourselves will actually attract our outer world. And the more that we expand our inner world, is the more that we create a more harmonious outer world, okay? So realize that everything that you need is being presented to you into your own life in the present moment. All that you gotta do is learn to use the tools. All that you gotta do is learn to become the alchemist and make the best out of the worst, okay? So realize that your higher self is your pure guidance. Your higher self is your true nature. And the more that you listen, is the more that you improve your consciousness. The more that you are being in alignment, is the more that you improve everything into your own life, okay? And I believe that it's so important to connect to that deeper intuition, okay, to the deeper intuition. I believe that the intuitive guidance is happening in every single moment. And our higher self is guiding us based on the intuition that we have. And the more that we are being connected to our intuition, is the more that we have the opportunity to co-create the life that we want to experience. And again, the higher self is happening based on the intuition that you are having, okay? So it's all happening in relationship with your own inner world, with your own state of consciousness. The more that you learn to improve what is happening within, is the more that you learn to improve what is happening outside, okay? So I've had moments where I was in connection with my higher self. I still have moments where I'm in connection with my higher self. And I'm realizing that the guidance is happening based on what we feel into our own hearts and into our own guts, okay? So learn to listen to your own heart. That is how to connect your transcendental self. That is how to realize that you are more than you think you are. And really, you are more than you think you are at a mental level. You are more than your ego thinks it is, okay? We are not our thoughts. We are not even our identity. Okay, we are the consciousness that is beyond these things. We are the consciousness of the observer. We are the consciousness that is connected to higher principles of life and the universe. Okay, we are the consciousness that goes through life in a harmonious way. But sometimes the ego blocks these manifestations. Sometimes the ego is in resistance. Sometimes what we think at a mental level is blocking us. Sometimes we have negative thought patterns. But what I'm realizing is the fact that we can always get to work on these things. We can always get to transcend these things. We can always step back into our mission and higher consciousness, okay? So we live in times of awakening, guys, and so many people are being in connection with their higher nature, with the higher principles of life. So many people are learning to evolve their own soul based on higher consciousness. And you may be one of them. You may be a chosen one that wants to help the world become a better place. And I'm realizing that in this process, it's so important to connect to our higher self. In this process, it's so important to be in alignment with our true nature, with our spiritual mission, with our spiritual essence and evolution. Okay, so I've seen in my past days that I was a bit disconnected, and sometimes you need to experience your ego. Sometimes you need to experience your lower nature in order to understand what your higher nature is. Okay, so the highs and the lows are interconnected, and maybe sometimes you need to be disconnected in order to learn how to connect again. So maybe you need to integrate your ego in a healthy way. Sometimes you need to integrate your lower nature in a healthy way, okay? So realize that there is duality, there is polarity, and the left and the right are interconnected in a way. They are of the same nature. And you really need to learn to work with both, okay? So a person that is complete doesn't run away from his negative feelings. A person who is complete doesn't run away from the negativity in his own life. He understands that in chaos there is great order. He understands that he understands also the art of destruction. And through destruction, you can get to actually create again. Through failure, you get to improve yourself, okay? So you need both. You need the polarity, and you need to go beyond the polarity. You need to see the good in the bad, you know? You need to see the positive also in the negative. So it's all about learning to listen to your own guidance and evolve your soul based on the consciousness that you are having. And in the process of connecting with your higher self, you have to love yourself, okay? You have to love yourself. You have to respect yourself. You have to give yourself the time, freedom, and space necessary to actually evolve, okay? So realize that the higher self comes through when you are in a state of flow. The transcendental self comes through when you are in a state of least resistance, okay? So my suggestion is get to learn to operate from least resistance, okay? Get to learn to operate from your own intuition, and you will see how you have the opportunity to connect to a deeper part of your own self. You will see how you have the opportunity to connect to higher principles and higher levels of reality itself, okay? So guys, realize that when you are being connected to your spiritual nature, you realize that you are actually far more than you think you are. From my perspective, we are everything that is happening in existence. We are the universe itself. In a higher level of consciousness, there is no separation. Okay, there is no separation. Everything is interconnected to your own inner world. And you realize that the inner and the outer are actually the same vibration. They are the same thing. There is no separation between the observer and the observed thing. Okay, so it's your job to make the connection. It's your job to realize deeper truths about yourself. And my suggestion for you today, guys, is if you want to connect to your own transcendental self, if you want to connect to your own higher self, do the things that are in alignment with your own soul. Do the things that are in direct connection with your passions, with your skills, with your talents, okay? That is how to make the connection. Be in alignment with your own inner source, and you will see magic happen, okay? So yes, The transcendental self happens when we are deeply connected to our feelings. My suggestion is go ahead and feel your feelings unconditionally. And sometimes you need to accept also the negative feeling. You need to work on healing yourself. You need to work on evolving yourself. You need to work on stepping into that higher consciousness of yours. And remember, being free is your birthright. Being free is your birthright. The more that you access your freedom is the more that you access the transcendental self or the higher self, okay? So realize that with your state of consciousness, you have the power to manifest anything that you desire. You have the power to be in direct connection with Source. And being in direct connection with Source is such a powerful thing to do. Being in direct connection with higher consciousness is a beautiful thing. And I believe that we as humans, we are multidimensional, infinite beings having a human experience, okay? And when we are connecting to a deeper nature, we realize deeper truths about life and the universe. I love you so much, guys. And this was today's message about the fact that you are more than you think you are. And you have a higher self, you have a transcendental self, you have a deeper spiritual nature. So if you're new to my YouTube channel, feel free to subscribe, leave a comment, and if you wish to work with me on a one-on-one level, feel free to contact me at my email address in the description below. I love you so much peace, and see you on what is coming up next. Bye bye.